And welcome to Putting the Pieces Back Together, brought to you by Purple Heart Homes. I am your host, Leah Gutierrez, with Devil Dog Devin.
Why did you pause there? Oh, right.
I could not get that. It's like a tongue twister.
It is not a tongue twister.
Devil Dog Devin. Devil Dog Devin.
You couldn't do like the Peter Piper thing when you was a kid?
No, not at all.
Peter Piper picked a peck of peppers. Man, I can't do it now. Now my tongue's twisted.
It's so cold out. As like everything's frozen.
Oh, yeah, well, it's not that cold. At least it's not snowing today.
Well, that's a good point. True. Yeah, that is good.
For some reason, like when I do tongue twisters, my southern accent gets a little thicker.
A little thicker.
Yeah. It's a thick southern accent. You know, I'm a southern boy. You know.
Yeah.
You know who else is a southern boy?
Who's a southern boy?
Our guest today.
Oh, who's our guest?
Colonel Phil Foster of the United States Army and current senior Army instructor. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
Of Statesville High School.
Yes, you got it right.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
It's my pleasure.
He outranks both of us by a lot.
By a lot. By a lot.
So I appreciate you being here, sir. I'm going to mind all my P's and Q's. And
sit up straight.
I get that a lot, actually.
Well, it is a little intimidating when you're even retired. You know, you see an officer and you're like, oh, like you still.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
You still go to parade, go to attention. And
when I was enlisted, I would have not even, if I saw you walking, I would immediately turn just so I didn't have to salute you.
You know,
or if there was that officer you didn't like and you guys were like walking in a group and you'd all space yourself so many feet, so he had to salute every single one.
I've seen that. I've seen that happen. Usually to brand new second lieutenants who thought they were important. That's usually where I
remember being at Fort Eustis when I was doing my training, and I saw a Navy guy. So I saw the Eagle, and I'm just a little E1. And I saw the Eagle, and I was like, "Good morning, sir." And he's like, I'm just a petty officer." I was like, I just saw the Eagle on the uniform. That's all I saw.
Gosh. So, yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Like I'm just a petty officer. I'm like, oh, okay.
Y'all don't see.
No. We don't see Navy too often.
But Phil here, he's got the full bird over there, and you've been a colonel for a while, right?
I got promoted to colonel in 2008 when I came back from Iraq.
Holy smokes. Yeah.
And when did you retire?
2014.
Okay.
So, but
my ex-wife told me if I made general, she'd leave, so I didn't put it in a packet. I was getting ready. I was actually getting ready to get a star.
Wait, you said you did put in a packet?
No, didn't.
Did not.
Oh, well, you said ex-wife. I didn't know.
Well,
You'll leave if I get that stuff.
No, she's only been an ex-wife 3 years. But no, she did. She told me she'd leave if I made general.
Man, that's terrible.
It's a tough life.
Oh.
It is. When I was a brigade commander, I averaged 170 days a year TDY.
Holy smokes.
And if you're a general, you average 225.
Oh, wow.
What?
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea.
You got speaking engagements and...
They flew me to the Pentagon for an hour and a half meeting.
Yeah. I believe it.
Because it was in the bunker.
They flew you from where?
Charlotte.
From Charlotte to the Pentagon,
Up and back in one day.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
And I was when I first came back, my second deployment, right before I took brigade command, I was in 5 cities in 2 days.
5 cities in 2 days.
I like jet lag.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my mind around that.
Let me tell
I was speechless for about a half
second. We were
second.
doing a bulk petroleum training exercise. So I flew from Charlotte to Pittsburgh on a Thursday. Friday night, we flew to San Jose, California from Pittsburgh.
Hours.
So, how long is that flight?
6 hours.
6 hours.
Plus a 3 hour.
And then we got up next morning and went to Fort Hunter Liggett. And then we came back to San Jose, flew to L.A., went to San Pedro, which is an hour north, came back to L.A. And on Sunday morning, we flew to Tucson, went to Huachuca, and I flew home Monday.
Oh, my gosh.
So why were you doing all this flying around? Like, what was your position at that time to warrant so many
There was a national training exercise, and we were going to visit training sites where they actually deliver bulk patrol and had bag farms.
Okay.
So we were making sure they were, because it was national. I mean, it had DA visibility. So you had to have colonels going to make sure
Everything's
that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So you were flying all around doing this. What was your actual position, you said?
I was getting ready to take brigade command.
Take brigade command of what brigade?
It was called the 475th Quartermaster Group. It was a bulk petroleum water purification headquarters, and there's only 2 of them in the whole Army.
No.
oh wow.
So when I went to, they called me and said, "You're taking command of 475th." And I said, "I don't know anything about fuel." I didn't. And they said, we'll send you to the petroleum officer course. So I walk into all these captains right out of the career course, and they're like terrified. I mean, they're scared to death of me.
Well, yeah, you see that.
Just
So
right.
when we would go
Got that
visit
right
training
there. Yeah.
sites, they'd give me the VIP packet and all the
Yeah.
stuff they always do. So I did 3 weeks of that, and then they said, "Oh, by the way, sir, you're on an advisory committee to the G40 Army on liquid logistics." So I mean, there's like 3 colonels and some civilians, and we were discussing policies and recommendations to the G40 Army.
Oh wow.
So G40, help me out here.
That's logistics, strategic level logistics.
Yes.
Strategic level logistics.
Well, I'll give you an example. They flew us to Korea to talk about what happens if the balloon goes up in Korea.
Oh.
How do you get fuel to the vehicles, because they don't have a refinery in Korea? So they did a deal called Joint Logistics of the Shore. Navy gets a mile out with their fuel ships, and they take the pipeline to the beach, and the Army picks it up and takes it to the refinery. It's called Joint Logistics of the Shore. So you work with the Navy too.
Oh wow.
Holy smokes.
There's a lot of logistics.
Yeah,
I
there's
actually-
a lot of moving parts there.
Yeah.
I've actually briefed the G40 Army multiple times. It was pretty cool. A 3-star. It was pretty cool.
Well, yeah, to have that on your resume, I mean, or even just have that experience that many of us, us included, would never have.
I didn't even know what it was.
Most people don't.
Like in the Army, you have 1 is human resources, 2 is your intel, 3 is your training, like your different sections.
Yeah.
4 is logistics, and then like 8, I think, no, I
Eight
think it matter.
8 is, I can't believe I
It's
still know.
medical.
No, 8 is
Instructor.
community affairs.
That's
like
right.
your civic affairs
Civil
people.
affairs, yeah.
5 is your public affairs. 6 is your IT guy. And 8's your finance. I'm sorry. 7 is your operations. And
That's a lot.
3 is your
Gosh,
training.
how do y'all remember all this stuff?
You
I
have
can
to
barely
remember.
my name. If I didn't have it written on my underwear so I could look in the mornings, yeah, that's me.
Your white ones.
It's just,
Aw.
when you get to that level, it just becomes second nature to you.
It does.
I mean, I did some really, really cool stuff in logistics, and I worked for Defense Logistics Agency, and we did the logistics support plan for the Afghanistan expansion in 2010,
Holy
and the
smokes.
logistics support plan by itself was 96 pages long.
96 pages. That's a heck of a read. Well, speaking of a heck of a read, I've got to go back and read your bio. I did a terrible job. So we're going to take a little commercial break so I can get caught up. You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together.
And welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together. We are with retired Colonel Philip Foster from Statesville, JROTC, the senior instructor.
Senior
gosh.
Army instructor.
Senior Army instructor.
What? You're struggling there.
I said I retired last year and I did a brain dump.
I'm just. I'm
Are you just like
struggle
watching?
too. I'm just like watching you like drowned over there.
Thanks. I appreciate the.
I'm sorry. I can't help it. It was. Good Lord.
I'm here for your humor.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's why I requested that you come be on the show with me.
Yes.
Just so I would have something. So I would have somebody to laugh at instead of everybody
Instead of
else just
laughing at
laughing at me. That's right.
Glad I could be that person.
Yeah.
Your wingman.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, let's get back to our guest, Phil.
As you were.
Yeah. Well, so I was talking about being from the South earlier. Are you from Arkansas?
I'm from Arkansas. I went to college in a town you've never heard of.
Well, I ain't heard of many cities in Arkansas, so that's not.
It's called Arkadelphia. That's the name of the town. It's halfway between
cities in Arkansas, so that's not.
It's called Arkadelphia. That's the name of the town. It's halfway between Little Rock, Texas, and Canada.
Laughing back there.
Arkadelphia.
Yeah, it's right off the interstate. Now, this is like Arkansas is a Bible Belt state.
Oh, yes.
Like, seriously, Bible Belt state. So there were two colleges in this little town. The one I went to in Washita Baptist, which is across the street, and they hate each other.
Right across the street from each other.
Literally across the street.
Oh, wow.
And there's 12,000 people in town. They got 28 churches. And when I was in college, I swear, when I was in college, it was a dry county. So, you know, I been there, and unfortunately, I got stuck at Fort Sill, Oklahoma 3 times. I spent 9 years in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Oh, Fort Sill. Yeah, I know them because of Fort Sill Bank. We called them Fort Steal Your Money.
I had an account with them for years. Yeah, I went there in 1984 to learn how to shoot cannons.
Really?
Which is why I wear hearing aids to this day, yes.
Did you not wear your earplugs, sir?
It don't matter when you're shooting an 8-inch Howitzer that shakes a building 5 miles away the other direction.
Yeah, all right. I point taken.
I mean, if you've never been around artillery, it's incredibly loud.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yes. I know most of the folks here at Purple Heart Homes were part of that National Guard artillery unit. Mm-hmm. That's what John and Dale were involved in. And
I know them well, obviously, but artillery's loud, and we laugh. You know, people like my daughters tell me I'm old. I said, let me tell you, the artillery, cannons that I shot are in the museum. That's how long ago it was. That's how long ago it was, right?
Yeah, that does put things in perspective.
It does. It does. I mean, I went to basic training 43 years ago.
43 years
1982,
ago.
And I wasn't going to go in the military. I got talked into it.
I don't want to make you feel old, but
I was going to say, what were you doing in 82 there, Devin?
I was being born.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know you were that old there.
I'm 62.
What? I would have never guessed.
Yeah. You look great.
I
never
appreciate
guessed at all.
Yeah, I went, it was funny because when I graduated in high school, I swore I wasn't going in the military. Wasn't happening. So my sophomore year, our fraternity advisor taught ROTC at the school, and he goes, "Hey, come take this hunter safety class, the Easy A." Of course, you're a marksman, you know how to shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, it's a phys ed credit. I don't have to go down the hill to the P. And the next thing I knew, I had orders for basic training after my sophomore year in college.
Did you not know that's how that worked?
Well, and then I got off the airplane in Louisville and saw my first drill sergeant. And I was like, at the airport, and I'm like, what have I just done?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And I literally retired 32 years later.
That's crazy.
No,
but you've had a really good career.
I was really lucky. I was fortunate. I came out of my second command, and I was a baby captain. I had 2 commands before I made captain. And so I was going to a 2-star command, and I wanted to go to unit training. And they called me, the Simon's officer called me and says, "You're going to desk log, Deputy Chief of Staff Logistics." I said, "Y'all smoking dope. I don't know anything about logistics." So this was back when I was in the reserves. So this football coach called me from Russellville, Arkansas. He was a little country boy. He was lieutenant colonel. He said, "You come to work for me?" And I knew him. I'm like, "Yeah, I come work for you, sir." He goes, "What's your daily rank of major?" I said, "Crap, sir, I just made captain last year." This is where it really turned for me. And said, "We can send you to school," because I wasn't quartermaster. I was artillery. And so it was like 2 months later, so you want to go to New Orleans with the general? And King Aaron's like spend a weekend doing inspections in New Orleans. Like, yeah.
No, I don't want to go. No, don't send me.
So they
sounds like a great time.
So, well, you actually had to inspect 2 units, and the logistics piece.
You have to do your job.
Oh,
the logistics.
I want to go to New Orleans. We got to do a job.
Well, the logistics piece of it's really detailed, a lot more detailed than anything else. And so we got through the inspection, and the general turns to me and goes, "You're my logistics inspector." And he threw my boss off the inspection team.
No kidding.
He did.
Ooh.
Wow. You
And
must set a
then
real
he
good
goes,
impression.
"Let me tell you what you need to do." And I'm a captain. And he's a general. I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, he laid out my career path. You need to be quartermaster. And so I transferred branches.
When
And
you
I
say
lo-
you transferred branches,
Went
I
from
went
artillery
from
to-
artillery to
yeah.
quartermaster.
and those are considered separate branches within the Army. And like
Yeah,
there's a different
absolutely.
career
For the
because, like-
officers, enlisted have job MOS, military occupation skills. Officers have branches where they got to know everything about that specific branch. So we know everybody's job.
Yeah.
No
So
kidding.
he came up to me 4 years later and he goes, "You need to take this assignment in New Orleans." And at the time, we had to pay our own travel. We didn't get paid. We didn't get reimbursed for our travel.
You didn't get reimbursed
No.
for your travel?
So I had to fly to New
While
Orleans.
you're in the National Guard, right?
Reserves. I wasn't. I
Oh,
wasn't.
you're in the reserves. Okay.
So I had to fly to New Orleans for 2 years. So the general comes to visit, and I was like, "Yeah, I know the general. He got in his second star by then." And then they're like, "You don't know
We're all
the."
pals.
You don't know that I was still in newspaper business at the time, and he was the superintendent of schools in Sherman, Texas, which is north of Dallas.
Holy smokes.
So he comes down, and of course he's talking to everybody and all that stuff, you know, being real generally. He comes down to me and flips the chair around backwards and leans on it and says, "We start talking about high school football in Texas." Really, we did. And they're like, "I guess you know the general."
Right.
I mean, I got to be friends. He called me up one time and needed a press pass to go watch Arkansas play football, and he picked me up at the airport. I didn't even go home. He picked me at the airport, went to Little Rock Air Force Base to play golf. I saw my parents later that night because I was with the general. But after 2 years, I went back to Fort Sill, and I was a deputy director of logistics, which was a really cool job. And they called me up and said, "We need a headquarters commander." And I said, and the training NCO, the supply sergeant, and the sergeant major, and the first sergeant said, "Sir, you're going to be our new commander." I said, "No, I'm not applying." They went to the colonel, and we said, "We want this major," and this was in 90. God, when was it? 98, and so I did that. I'd already finished commander general staff. I finished commander general staff calls as a captain, so I was already education qualified for lieutenant colonel before I ever went before the board.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was way ahead at that point. And so
Was that due to the general's advice? Had he put
it
you on that
was,
path?
and so I went down to this training brigade because I needed a break after 4. I just needed a break. I was in command for 40 months. I needed a break. And so I go in, I'm going to be an assistant S3 in the training brigade. I was cruising, right? I was going to take me a break. So I was at Fort Knox TDY in 2002. They did, in 2002, they did it. Lockheed Martin had a lab, and they did future combat systems, which is where the brigade combat team concept came out of.
The BCT. Yeah.
That came out. I was part of that deal. And so
Awesome.
I got a phone call from the brigade commander because he had told me, "You're going to get the command again, right? But not right now. I need you to be in the S3 shop and fix my S3 shop because it was broke." He calls me up and he's all excited and he goes, Hey, Phil, this is Colonel Grant. Can I have a few minutes of your time? I said, "Sir, the brigade commander, you have all the time you want."
Yeah.
And he goes,
you get what you
"This
want."
job just came open and you're going to do great." And I said, "What is it, sir?" "Well, it's command." I said, "Sir, it's command like 2 months ago." Just so I can think about it. And he goes, "Well, I already talked to the CG." So he wasn't really asking me if I wanted to.
No. So you got voluntold.
Voluntold.
But it was a battalion command as a major.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. That is
Before I
pretty
ever
impressive.
got before I ever got boarded for lieutenant colonel, I was halfway through battalion command.
Yeah, well, if you're getting battalion command as a major, then you're being fast tracked.
I was,
Oakley.
and I got lucky.
Silver Oak.
So I put. So as soon as you make lieutenant colonel, you can apply for war college, and it's the 10% selection rate. And I'm like, I'm never making it. I got made the alternate list as the first year. I started war college when I was in Iraq in 2007, and I'd only been a lieutenant colonel for 3 years.
Holy smokes.
And it's a normal 7-year progression from lieutenant colonel.
That was going to be my next question, man.
So what happened was I got boarded for full colonel at 3 years and 8 months time in grade. And I was like, there's no way they're picking me. Nobody makes colonel this fast. I pinned on colonel at 4 years and 3 months.
Holy smokes.
That's awesome.
So then I put in for brigade and said, they're not picking me. I'm not, I'm a baby colonel. Well, that's when I got selected for that unit. And I'm like, it was like, so my ex-wife says, don't tell me stuff's not going to happen anymore, because every time you tell me that, it does. And so I took that command. It was high visibility, and my evaluations from a 2-star were promoted this officer to brigadier general 3 times in a row.
Holy smokes.
And I was going to make general.
Well, man, that's an incredible. I'm kind of flabbergasted that you picked up that fast, and yeah,
I was pretty surprised, I'm gonna tell you.
Hey, we've got to put a pin in it right there. But when we come back from the break, I want to go back to your civilian job.
Okay.
And you've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Putting the Pieces Back Together. I'm Leah Gutierrez, if you didn't know, and I'm with Devil Dog Devin.
Oh,
I got it right that time.
You did? How'd you do that?
I practiced in my head.
Oh, wow. He's like, you got your hands folded very tightly. You're like,
I know, I need
all
to,
right,
like-
I'm doing the thing. I'm going to do the thing now.
I'm going to get it right. 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 Yeah. But I got it right.
Well, thank you. Wow, that's awesome.
What is up with this? Like,
like me showing my shirt? It's like an S on your chest.
it's almost like when we had
Superman.
Chad Leon, you like ripped the shirt off. You're trying to.
It's so that the YouTube viewers can see the
As if
Purple Heart Holmes.
This isn't enough.
Oh, yeah.
Our logo behind us
maybe,
isn't enough.
Maybe I should have.
And the logo under our names, isn't enough.
I didn't.
You just wanted
that.
to make short. You wanted to enunciate and just
Yeah, absolutely.
thoroughly,
We got to make sure we're
on all
giving
levels.
Props to,
to Purple Heart Homes.
By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, don't forget to click the little link down below, like, subscribe, all them things that you're supposed to do. And if you're listening to on the radio, hey, go find us on YouTube, Purple Heart Homes YouTube page. There's extra content most of the time, and
and also go to
I'm
our
pretty.
website.
You'd like to look at me. What? Sorry, go ahead.
You
Leah.
are a pretty man. And if you also like to find out what Purple Hearts is doing, you can also go to phhusa.org.
You seemed unsure.
I do always see
phhusa.org. Yeah.
Please, and go and see what we're doing. And if you like to donate, where you can go.
Yeah, and help
Yeah.
a veteran near you. Anyways, let's get back to the guest.
I
That
know.
was a whole awkward segment. What were we doing there?
I don't know. It's only my 10th show. You'd think I'd get it right by now.
You're counting the shows. I've told you the shows don't appear in order.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, as I was.
We're going to
I
get
digress.
back to Phil over here. Phil, right before the break, I mentioned we wanted to get back to your civilian life because you were a reservist.
Part of my career,
part of your career.
About half my career I was in the reserves and half I was on active duty.
Which means you had your Army job, but you also had a civilian job.
Yeah.
And that was in journalism?
Yeah. Actually, I had a job that people would love to have. I was a sports writer for 12 years and a newspaper.
A sports writer.
And I fell into that career. I literally fell into it. My senior in high school, I decided I wanted a camera. So I went out and bought a Pentax K1000, which is an old camera, man. In fact, I still have it. And I ended up getting journalism scholarships in college.
Wow.
No kidding.
I did. I had photography and worked in the yearbook, newspaper, had a radio show. And then I went on active duty. And when I got off active duty the first time, I went to the state paper in Little Rock. And I had the best gig going. I was a high school beat writer. It meant I didn't cover college. I covered high school. And from August to
What's a beat writer? Hold on, I don't know what that means.
A beat writer means that's all you. There's two kind of sports reporters. There's a general guy. If there's a story that needs to be covered, they send you. If you're a beat writer, you cover a specific area of sports. And for me, it was high school.
Oh,
Okay.
So from August to December, we covered football.
Ah.
And from October to March, we covered basketball. And when everybody else was chilling, I started covering track, golf, and baseball.
No kidding.
And it was pretty funny because the pro scouts would call me and say, hey, I need you to take a look at this kid.
So you were helping out the scouts?
Yeah, I would call the scouts. I mean, the scouts would call me. I'd see them at ball games and stuff. And in the summer, I covered golf tournaments and, American League baseball. So that's pretty much, it was pretty cool. I mean, I would go, and it was a good gig. I would go play golf every morning, and then I'd cover game in the afternoon. And when we covered golf tournaments, we went early and played golf before the tournament started.
So is there someone famous that you wrote up before they made it
I've written
famous?
up a lot of them. I mean, there's in basketball, they had Pine Bluff had a tournament called the King Cotton back in the day. And this is, 35 years ago. And they would find the top talent in America and bring their teams to this Christmas, New Year's tournament. And so in 1990,
1990, that's like 35 years ago.
yeah, it was. And believe it or not, that tournament had 4 guys that played in the NBA.
Really?
Wow.
And I interviewed every single one of them. 2 of them are from, two of them are from Arkansas. One of them was a guy named Corliss Williamson, who led Arkansas to the national championship in 1994.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And the other guy was a guy named Derek Fisher, who I knew really well. And he played at University of Arkansas Little Rock for Wimp Sanderson, and then he played for the Lakers and got 5 championship rings. He was a point guard.
Yeah, 5 championship rings. No big deal.
It was pretty funny because
these are NBA championship rings.
Where he went to high school was magnet school, so the coach would go down and recruit kids. So he had 8 Division I basketball players on one high school team.
Oh, wow.
I'm seriously, it was unbelievable. And their AAU team added Corliss. So when they just destroyed people.
I was going to say.
That doesn't sound fair.
And it was funny because when they played each other in the semifinals, I knew the refs. I said, it's going to be the cleanest game you ever seen in your life. And they didn't believe me. And so Corliss slammed over this guy. I mean, he was a big dude, 6'7", 2 1/4 in high school. He was a grown man.
Holy smokes.
And the guy, he dunked over, hugged him. And it was clean. There wasn't any cheap foul, nothing. And then everybody in America knew about Jason Kidd, even in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd obviously used to be an interview, but he's the best point guard I ever saw. I mean, yeah.
And you got to watch him when he was in high school. And
yeah, in fact, he and Cordes played each other in the finals. And I was sitting next to a guy from Russellville, and we're like, what's our league going to be for his story? So Russellville was up 2 points with like 6 seconds left in the game. So Jason Kidd was a great 3-point shooter. He went to the corner to shoot a 3, and Cordes was in the lane. So he takes that shot, and Cordes threw it 6 rows deep in the stands.
Oh, my God.
And that was the end of the game, and we're like, holy crap. And there was another guy from Ohio that played at Michigan State, played for the Cavs for a long time, named Eric Snow.
Eric Snow.
And, so I interviewed 4 future NBA guys in one tournament. It was cool.
That is
Holy
awesome.
smokes.
I mean, it was amazing to watch that talent. And so, when I talk to parents now, my kid's a D1. I'm like, let me tell you, I know what D1 looks like. Right? I mean, because you see these guys and they're amazing. And, I knew all 4 of them were going, they were that good. But, like I asked Corliss, I said, do you ever think about how good you were? He was getting 85 letters a day from colleges recruiting him.
Wow.
And he told me as a 16-year-old kid, no, because if you think you're that good, you're really not that good. And I was floored by a 16-year-old kid saying that.
Yeah.
And then I got to see, some college players that played in the NFL and some high school guys that played in the major leagues. It was pretty cool. But my most fun story I wrote was about a blind pole vaulter.
What?
Yeah, honest to God, there was this guy from the blind school.
We got a minute and a half. Can you tell?
Yeah, I can. So this coach comes up to the press box and he goes, there's a blind pole vaulter. I said, Coach, you're full of it. He said, go down there. This kid had 2200 vision. He sighted with a pole.
He sighted with the pole.
And he jumped like 11 feet. And I'm like, I was like, it was unbelievable. People came by and said, "You're making it up." I said, "I swear I watched him." But it was really cool to be able to see a guy that, I mean, he was a good athlete.
They must have scared the hell out of the dog, though.
Yeah. Well, the deal was the blind school didn't even have a track. So he practiced on the high jump mat in the gym. That's how he practiced.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm just joking about the dog.
It was pretty fun. I mean, I won a bunch of awards, but you know, I had to choose between that and the Army, and I chose the Army. It ended up being the right decision. I promise you.
Hey, yeah, I think you did pretty well for yourself. But you did end up getting to return back to high school, and we're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back from this break.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, blindfold.
You are watching Putting the Pieces Back Together. It's now tuning in to our last segment. I'm your host, Leah Gutierrez. With
you know you don't have to say our names every time.
I know, but I like it. Because what if someone just like tunes in like right when it's
like right at the end, the last segment?
You know, it could happen.
Yeah. What if they tune in the middle of a segment?
I said our name in the middle of the segment.
Oh my gosh!
See, thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Did you say the guest's name again?
Our guest is Joe. Why are you laughing? Our guest is retired Colonel Bill Foster, who has led a very exciting and mind-blowing career in logistics, which is one of my career fields.
And as a journalist,
and a journalist
writer, and now he's doing something different. He's back in a high school because he used to write for the high school sports pages. But
something I wanted to do.
Yeah,
not sports, but what he does.
Oh yeah, be a JROTC instructor. He's the senior instructor. Oh wow!
I don't know if they want to get rid of me here.
I mean, I might. I don't know. You can't have
and, you know, like a lot of things in my life, I fell into it. I was getting a divorce, so I was home for college homecoming. So I was in the hotel, and I didn't feel like hanging out with my fraternity brothers because they were going to get drunk, and I didn't particularly want to participate. So I looked on the school website in Arkadelphia. And there was an ROTC instructor job available. So I applied. And the way it's supposed to work, you're supposed to go through cadet command for this long, drawn-out 4-month investigation and then find a job. I did it backwards. I found a job first. So I walked in there in November of 21, and the guy that was my sergeant had just started in August. So he was by himself 3 months, and he didn't have a clue what he's doing. Great guy. And we became really close friends. And I found out I was pretty good at it. And a big piece of junior ROTC is recruiting. And, of course, I knew everybody in the town because I went to college there. I mean, you know, and so the requirement is 10% of students in the student body to be enrolled in ROTC.
Really? You have to have 10%? I didn't know that.
Where I was at, we had over 20.
Oh,
gosh. We were doing everything. I mean, we did drill competition, we did PT competition, we did Raiders, we did Veterans Day ceremony. We did it all.
Smokes.
And then I found out it was the piece that really blew me away was that you end up being a father figure to a lot of these kids who don't have fathers.
Absolutely.
And I had no idea. Cost me a lot of money too because these kids needed stuff. I mean, they needed stuff and nobody would pay for it. So, you know, you end up doing that and you get really close to these kids. And I got here in June and Statesville's broke. The program is not in good shape. But I got great kids. And again, I'm a father figure. So but we're trying to get out and do stuff. We do color guard for you guys. We also did the pumpkin patch. We did parking detail for the county fair. We did parking detail for Balloon Festival. We did color guard for Davidson football game. We did guard for Veterans Day.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Really getting them out in the community. And
yeah, we are. And then we're getting ready to start crank up our recruiting.
Good.
We got a curriculum fair tonight where parents come in, and then we got one on the 29th at the Civic Center, and then we're going to hit up like 8 middle schools to recruit.
Oh, so when they're coming in,
Yeah, we
they're
recruit
signing
them
up
as
for
8th
classes.
graders.
I never thought about that being
What
part of
I
the job.
did in Arkansas, and people and the assistant principal couldn't figure it out, was I averaged between 46 and 50 new freshmen every year that went in ROTC.
Wow.
Out of one school.
46 and 50. And how big is the high school?
The high school was only 578 kids, and I had 108 cadets.
108 cadets, and wow.
That's a really good program. That's
So
good
one out of
volumes for your
every
program.
5 kids, it was in your program that went to the high school.
And part of that too, and I fell into this too. I was at a basketball game one night because we do color guard at every home game. And the track coach is saying something about, well, he only had one other coach. I said, Coach, I come help you. And he goes, you ever coach track, Colonel? I said, yeah. And he goes, I don't have any money for you at coach's time. I said, I don't need your money. And so I went out there and started coaching high jumpers and long jumpers. Found I was pretty good at coaching. I never coached high jumpers before, but I ended up having kids that were unbelievable.
Now,
I had girls that were really unbelievable. I had a 8th grade girl, high jump 4.8, and then I had another 8th grade girl, clear 4.6, and her little sister triple jumped 33 feet as a 7th grader. So I was like,
holy smokes.
How are they feeding these kids?
And these are little bitty kids. I mean, they weren't big, they were small. And so when I moved here, you know, they meet track coach. I said, yeah, I coach track. He says, what do you jump? Coach. I said, well, I coach jumpers. And they're like, oh, we need you.
No kidding.
Yeah, they want me, but they have indoor and outdoor here. And my wife goes, you're not coaching track. And but I am coaching. I'm coaching golf because I've been playing golf since I was 9 years old. And I've coached baseball and softball and that stuff. In fact, that is part of what I did. I actually was a fast pitch umpire for 15 years.
What?
I've done national tournaments, yeah.
You've kind of
I've had it's been a pretty.
You're a real Renaissance man.
I've had a lot of fun. I've had a great life, but the way I look at ROTC, and people have a misunderstanding that it's a recruiting tool, and it's not.
No, there's leadership courses.
It's a leadership, citizenship, patriotism program.
Absolutely.
Now, what people and most teachers don't understand is when we have freshmen, we teach them critical thinking skills, study skills, thinking maps, reading comprehension before they ever get into the leadership stuff. That's the very first.
Absolutely.
Which is going to carry them well into adulthood.
Yeah, and so what happened, and we make them write on every assignment has a writing part of it. So they have to learn to write too. And I've had kids when I was in Arkansas come back, and I told them, I said, this is going to help you in every class. Because they're like, this is boring. I'm like, it's not really exciting to teach either, but I'm going to tell you.
There ain't no bed of roses for me either.
No.
But what I tell them is how important it is if you'll pay attention. And they'll come back and say, oh my gosh, that helped me a lot. Now we get into leadership stuff, and kids, the cadets actually run the program. We do the instruction, but the kids do the planning for all like we have military ball, and we do an awards ceremony, and then we do stuff. The kids plan it. There was a battalion staff meeting every week, and a lot of mentoring. A lot of kids in ROTC need the discipline. They need the structure. A lot of broken homes. Some parents, some of them don't even know who the parents are. And so you became a safe harbor for them where they know they're loved and cared for. The problem I ran into in Arkansas, I'm running into it here too, is they all want to hang out in ROTC and not go to class. I ran into that in Arkansas because they all wanted to be around us.
I was in ROTC in high school, and I had that similar experience. I wanted to stay in the ROTC room. I get it.
Well, part of the other deal that's really cool about it is we take every junior and senior, and I take this on as a personal mission, and every one of them has a structured, written plan of what they're going to do and graduate.
Really?
Every one of them. Now, I'm helping kids this semester. One kid's going in the Army. He's already signed up. And he said, and he's a little bitty guy. He's about 5'4", and he goes, sir, I want to be an airborne ranger. I said, no, you're not. I said, no, you're not going to do that. He's actually going to be an Apache mechanic, which is a great career field.
Well, yeah, I can carry him on the civilian
And
side.
then
yeah.
I've got a girl that I'm really close to. and she's going to Greensboro. She wants to be a physical therapist or an occupational therapist. She's real smart. But she has nothing at home, so I'm it. And we're figuring out how to get her college.
That's amazing.
That's great.
And that's just what we do. I mean, that's part of the role. And it becomes, like I'm teaching leadership now to some sophomores and juniors. And I tell them, I said, it becomes where it's like second nature to you, where you're just used to being in charge. And you almost treat the cadets like you would treat young soldiers, because when privates would see me, they just flip out. They would just.
I did.
So what happened one time, and this is pretty fun. This is pretty
away from the colonel.
I had a sergeant first class try to set up a private right out of AIT.
Oh my!
Put him at the door when I came in.
What?
So he's standing off to the side, and I'm getting ready to come into my headquarters, and they obviously called the building to attention. And when he saw me, froze. You know what's saying?
No.
And the sergeant's over there getting ready to jump his behind. And I patted the soldier. So I said, no. I said, you're not setting this kid. He'd never seen a colonel. I mean, he might see a colonel a quarter mile away, but he'd never seen a colonel. But so you had to be really careful. Like when I was talking to young soldiers, I go up to, when I first took command, because, all my staff wanted me to come in the front door. Well, there's a side door where the soldiers smoke. So I went by there. And of course, they're all sitting on a picnic table and they're freaking out. And
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I walked the side door. My staff didn't even know I was there. But so I tell the kids that, because they look at me, I'm real calm and stuff. I said, yeah, I can, you don't want to see the colonel side because it's not pretty.
No.
But it's like, I had kids say, you're so nice. And I said, well, I am now. I said, because you're not soldiers. You're high school kids. And what I tell them is, you're not kids. You're young adults. And that's how I treat you, unless you showed and proved to me that you don't deserve to be treated that way. And so for most of them, they appreciate that. So it's really rewarding. And the teachers get mad because I said it's the least stressful job I've ever had my whole life. And they get really mad.
Well, yeah, you're used to leading men into war. And
I'm telling them, when we were in Iraq, we just hoped we made it back from mission without getting blown up. So this is easy.
Well, hey, Phil, we've only got 30 seconds left, and you've been a great guest today. As a matter of fact, I think I would like to continue talking to Phil a little bit.
Absolutely.
So if we're going to sit here on this couch, and we're going to do some bonus content. So if you're listening on the radio, make sure to go check us out on YouTube, on our YouTube page, Purple Heart Homes. Find Putting the Pieces Back Together. And we're going to talk a little bit more to Phil Foster. And for the rest of you, we'll see you next week.